So Holland West Productions, started by me and my business partner Warren Oliver. Warren is a super creative, super passionate. He used to do graphics over at HBO, and he would create opens for like shows and stuff like 6 Feet Under and all these like crazy shows, Sopranos and stuff like that. He was actually roommates with Chike at SCAD back in Savannah College. Snoop, aka Warren, aka Snoop, I call him Snoop. Snoop used to come over to MTV because me and Chike worked at MTV. All of us, like, we had a little crew. And so he come over after work from HBO, like 3 blocks away from the Gracie building, over to 1515 Broadway, just to kick it with us. And, you know, we'd be in there, you know, Chike was working on Through the Wire, and Kanye would come through, and all these people. Then, and we would just be working at night. We started a company called Camp, and Camp was like about a school of fish or something like that. It was like, but it was most of like all of the cool black, you know, it wasn't too many of us. It was like, you can count like 30 of us on your hand of black people that were in Viacom at the time. So like we were all in the creative space, and we were just like, yo, let's create this big mega like company, you know, and that didn't work out. Me and Warren were always cool, and we always saw ourselves as like the underdogs. Like Chike and Snoop, Chike and Cootie, they was killing it because they had Through the Wire, and they started doing some Kanye joints, and you know they super talented. And then, you know, me and Snoop, we just be like, yo, we +1 at that party, you know, like we gonna come, you know, we come through like decent looking guys and stuff, like, you know, but we was like, yo, we're both very talented. And he came from more of that, like, you know, graphical, creative director, ad space world. And I was on this hard production, like, you know, making stuff up at MTV, like super creative, but like knows like a format. So I was like, yo, let's, you know, Snoop was like, yo, let's make this company, Holland West Productions, but we didn't have a name. And so we went through like 400 names. And the name Holland West Productions came from our suburbs that we grew up in. So I grew up in South Holland. He grew up in Laurel West, which was a suburb in Richmond, Virginia. You know, and so he was just like, yo, he came up with that. And I was like, all right, that works. Sounds like a law firm. I was like, but cool, let's do it. And that was Holland West Productions. So at first, you know, and Holland West Productions was kind of like, we had a vision, and it was like, yo, we want to do commercials. We just want to do commercials. We don't want big shows. We don't want a whole bunch of things that take a lot of time and money. You know, we want to make a lot of money, but we want to do it fast. Because I was burned from Harlem Heights. I was like, man, that was so much work and so much energy and so much passion. And then we only get 1 season. I was like, oh, hell no. We doing commercials. We're going to get this fast money, and we're going to do some dope shit. So, like, we did branded content. We couldn't get all the broadcast stuff yet, but we were getting all this branded content. So I work with, like, people like Ron. I work with, like, you know, different brands. I'm doing this Nike digital spot, this, that, boom, boom, boom. And all that stuff kind of, like, built up. And I remember the first year, you know, we only made $30,000. You know, and then every year it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing, and we get more and more contacts. Well, the contacts we had were from like me being at MTV. Like a lot of people ended up in different places. Everybody from MTV, it's like Harvard or something. It's not as prestigious, but it's like once you go to MTV back in the day, you're gonna end up anywhere. You're gonna end up at Turner Networks. You're gonna end up at, you know, Apple. You're gonna end up at YouTube, boom, boom, boom. All my friends are at dope places. They're at dope places, and all my friends need work. A lot of my friends are at Netflix. They need work. So we're like, hell, we got a multicultural company, you know, work with us. You know, we got our shit together. We got our insurance. We got our lawyers. We got this, we got that. And so we teamed up with my friend Kim Valona, one of my best friends, Chris Valona. He used to be a DP over at MTV, and so his wife was a production manager, and she is signed on with us to be our head of production and like our production manager and line producer. So she's in the pocket. You know, there's a lot of people that help build us to where we are, like Tiffany Jackson, who's like a big author now. She was like our first producer that we ever had. Nina Bennett, who was from Chicago too. She went to Howard and she worked at Stars or something like that, Epics. And now she's at Apple. She was one of our line producers too. And a lot of times we didn't have like the salaries, you know, to pay people like, you know, people need 100,000 or more. We didn't have that, like, but, you know, it took, you know, people giving their time and their heart to work with us because they saw the vision to like help us out and, you know, still get paid project by project or retainer by retainer. You know, these people are the building blocks to like where we are now. We're still a small company. You know, there's still like, you know, 4 of us. There's me, Warren, Kim, our line producer I'm telling you about, head of production, and Simone, who's in New York, who's our production coordinator, who holds it down. Like, and that's our core group. That's, you know, now we're doing the NBA commercial that's coming out for Martin Luther King Day. Got Yo MTV Raps, our biggest contract of all time. We've done spots for Amex. We've done spots for Nike. We've done numerous things at Netflix. We just did The Harder They Fall, like this show called Playlist that's about to come out. Well, by now it came out. It's like all of the performances of the soundtrack, the highlighted songs on the soundtrack. So like, you know, we do a lot of things in promos for Netflix. And we're creating shows and putting out shows. It's crazy, the story. I didn't give you the full origin story of it, but both of us had reels. Like me and Warren had reels that we would bring into a meeting when we say like, hey, you should work with us. You know, he had his like 6 Feet Under, Sopranos, boom, boom, boom. And I had all this MTV stuff. We would go into these meetings with these separate reels, show people like, hey, we got good work, we can do this. Then, you know, Warren had the big idea of like coming together and making a company. And so we did it. And our first project together was like something that I strongly urge like all of our youth to do today. I worked on a project, it was for like State Farm and it was MTV. And it was with this F1 racer named Jay Howard. He's a Formula One racer from London. And so it was like something about like driving cars or whatever. So I'm on the job. I'm shooting with my HVX 200. You know, I'm getting one of the angles from like, you know, he was racing cars on the track. And so I'm like in a position on the track and we hang out one night. So we hung out after the shoot, you know, shooting in the rain. It was horrible, but it was fun because it was race cars. That night, it was like me, Jay Howard, his agent or manager, and like we ended up wilding out, drinking to the point where I was throwing up. And we was like singing like Michael Jackson songs like on a jukebox in this weird town. I don't even know where we were. We were in like Omaha, something crazy. And so we was wilding out, and I was like, yo, I'm drinking, I'm talking to Jay Howard and his manager. I'm like, yo, my business partner, he really loves car racing. He loves Indy car racing. He loves F1. I was like, yo, we should just shoot something with y'all. I just want to shoot something. I don't care what it is. Like, just let us shoot something and let's do it. And it was like, bet. So what we do, we had some cameras. We found some money, and we went down to Kansas City, where he would train, and we just shot something. We shot this piece, and I remember we used the Jared Leto, his group, 30 Seconds to Mars, as the song, because he had this anthemic song. It was a crazy like stadium song, and I was like, we put it to that music. You know, him driving around this track. and him like stopping and talking about like how he drives and everything. And we put together this beautiful piece, you know, with a 7D, Canon 7D and a Canon 5D. Mind you, the 7D, oh, I got a Chicago story for you. 7D came from, so my first camera, my Panasonic DVX 100 came from my parents, Maurice Williamson and Catherine Williamson. All right, my second camera, which was a Canon 7D, came from the money I made on a video for G Count and Mooney for the LEP boys, the LEP Bogus boys, and it was called Hood Girl with my boy Ray J. Fun fact. So I had the 7D from the LEP Bogus boys, the money I made from them. My business partner, he got his 5D from Darren Sharper, or maybe his brother. Darren Sharper was a football player who ran into some trouble. But, you know, he was like, hey, I see, you know, Warren is talented. I want to, like, invest. So, like, both of those were some invested cameras. Like, and we went down to Kansas City and we shot this British car racer. So we go to Kansas City to shoot this Indy Formula One racer, Jay Howard. Jay Howard's British, you know, we two like country boys. And so we shoot this guy, you know, we don't have any relation to this dude, whatever, but, you know, we connected, you know, from the shoot. We went down there and we didn't have any stabilizers. This is before the gimbals, all that stuff. You know, we had handheld. I had tripod or monopod. I think I just brought a monopod, and we shot the shit out of that joint. To this day, I think it's a good piece. And we would show that around, and people were like, hey, y'all work is good. You know, let's work with y'all. And I think one of our first clients was Walmart or something like that. Yeah, Walmart. We did a commercial, national commercial for them. What was that show called? We did a show for Scion. It was like part of Toyota. It was like a variety show. It's kind of like what MTV Raps is about to be like. Yeah, we just kept it rocking after that, you know. But it was that putting together of like, yo, we need $500 to go down there, stay in a shitty hotel, and let's go shoot. Let's go get some cards. Let's shoot. And you know, that was our calling card. That was our resume to make this company, to get work. Yeah, one of the agencies we got to work with was Adov Labs, who's they actually own and created 24/7 HH, and Ron and his folks like definitely gave us a chance to like work with some big brands like Nike and New Balance and stuff like that. So like, you know, that branded creative, you know, world, you know, were like helped out for us to work in like by people like Ron.